All right, let's see what's going on here, guys. Let me get this address here. Drop this over here. Let me see. See here. Good day there, Supreme Wizard. Val, hey, what's happening? Let me see if this is working here. What's going on, Brian? Eric, what's happening? Deano running Rampage 25. Hey, Chris, what's going on? Juan Vasquez, howdy from Phoenix, Arizona. Val, all good? Sweet. Michael Smith, I'm sorry. Hello. I see and hear you. Awesome. Guess we're working there. Audio's working okay. Greets from Norway. Power Play 1979. These things are small. I don't know if everybody's ever seen these things, but man, I don't know why they don't make these things larger, but they do. They just don't, I guess. Hello, old pal Philip Withington. What's happening? Let me see. Tom Seaton. Hey, man. What's going on? Hey, Eric, did you get all them storms over there in Ohio? Because we were actually, we got actually tornado watches and everything else. I know you, good parts of Ohio did too. So waiting for a second round. I don't think it's going to bother us too much. We only had wind about maybe 23 miles an hour here. A lot of rain, but nothing too bad yet. We'll see what happens, right? If my feed goes black, you'll understand why. I do have a battery backup, so I'll forewarn everybody I'm going down. It's going to shut it down, you know. Teddy Lawrence, hello. Hello, what's happening? Wellesley Holloway from New York, what's up? What's going on? Renee from the Netherlands. Well, it's good evening, you know, from us to you. I'm sure it's not the evening for you. Oh, okay. So it passed no problems. Yeah, it's actually pretty scary. I tell you what, the skies around here look pretty ominous. So, you know, like I said, we got a second round coming in, but I don't think it's going to be much of anything to worry about. James Newton, can't thank you enough. Tom Seaton, enjoy your videos. I just logged on. Sweet. Unfortunately, I just logged on. Have you seen the video on YouTube from India showing a space station passing behind the moon in daylight? No, I don't think I have. Aditya Tata, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, so forgive me if I'm not. Hello back at you. Tommy's awake. Best channel pertaining to these subjects. Hello, Chris. Thank you very much there, Tommy. Appreciate that. Big screen of Mars. Yeah, I know. I don't have the green screen going right here, so yeah, you're not going to see Mars too much right now. 2 a.m. Okay. Andy, hi, Chris. 2 a.m. here in Switzerland, but I'm here. You worth it. Well, I appreciate that. If you guys, what do you guys think about going on just a hair bit earlier, maybe 7 o'clock? Do you think that's better for you guys, or leave it the way it is? Let me know. Val, 3 a.m. here from Estonia. Hey, that's pretty early. It looks exactly like a large circular rotating space station. I think I have seen it. You should watch Bruce C's all video from yesterday where he shows structures in plain sight. I actually did see that. It was actually pretty good, no doubt. He does some good work, man. There's no doubt. You know, I'd like to get together with some more. We had talked earlier, not today, but I'm going to guess it's been a while. I'm guessing 3 weeks ago, roughly, maybe a hair bit longer, but right around there. And he's been busy and stuff like that. It's hard to catch up with him. And, you know, I'm doing the same thing. I'm busy. So, yeah, definitely like to, you know, get with him and do a little collab. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate it. I got it right here. So I'm going to go ahead and show that. So we can see it. You can see it right up there. Just look up and you'll see where Michael Smith put the link just above Eric Wild, his post with the thumbs up. 7 posts. Very dark here in Florida. It's going to pour like crazy. Got up new gutters Friday. Good thing you did there, Michael. Keith, no doubt. My daughter lives over there in Florida, and I'll tell you what, they get some serious rainstorms down there. But then, a lot of the houses are made to withstand it. Not so much if you're getting, serious hurricanes down there, but you know what I'm saying, Eric, you and Bruce are the best in my opinion. Well, like I said, keeping it real is what it's all about. Whether people believe, what I show or he shows, doesn't really matter. The thing is, the people who are open-minded to it are going to say, well, you can make your own decisions. That's what it's all about. Let's see, Nathan, great to know all the way through that Mars was the moon. The other way. Okay. Mark Anthony, how goes it? Love the photo peep from NASA guys. Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of you guys commented on about that, about the I think it was the Apollo 11, astronauts and stuff like that, and the way they looked in that video. I'm still blown away because, like I said, here's, these astronauts, they're walking around a lunar surface, like I said, when they were going on the spacecraft, on the ground, they're waving at the public. Everything's good. Everything's great. Even, showed them up there having a good time up on the moon. They come back and what happened? What happened from then to then? I mean, all they did is they were in basically what was a decompression chamber there for a while. So they wouldn't have the effects of kind of like a jet lag kind of thing or feeling nauseated, whatever it may be. And still, that doesn't matter. I mean, these guys come back. You could just see like they're going, oh my God, we're going to lie to the public. You're going to be kidding me. You could just see they didn't want to be there, right? Absolutely bothering the hell out of them, and I don't blame them. If I went there and seen something beyond spectacular, and I had to come back, and first of all, you just want to share it with everybody because you've seen it, right? It's like something you see here. It's like whatever may happen that's exciting, and you want to share it with somebody, and they say, "Oh no, but by the way, you can't share it with nobody. You got to keep that to yourself." Are you kidding me? Yeah, here's a gag order. You got to go ahead and sign. It's like, oh, you're kidding me. So yeah. Have the feds been giving you any trouble? No, not yet, Juan. I gotta say it, not yet. I think, to be truthful with you guys, I think they may be, they're probably saying, what, just leave these guys alone. They're just pawns, you know what I mean? Just go ahead and let them do it, because, it's getting the truth out slowly. Now, whether the public believes it or not doesn't matter to them. Just like let them do it. It just gets it out, desensitizes the public. So in the event that it really does, disclosure does come, everybody won't be in total shock. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure some people would be, but that's beside the point. I think the majority wouldn't, because it's been, to me, they've already been desensitized, right? What do you guys think? Mark, here in Southwest Georgia, went right over my house, wreaked havoc, massive havoc, whole area. Yeah, I mean, I've been watching the news, man. It's been, what is it, like 5 or 7 people dead because of this storm. So, yeah. Jose Molina, hello from Australia. How did you first develop the interest of Mars and anomalies? To be truthful with you, I mean, I've always thought we were part of something more. I mean, like I said, even when I was in the 6th grade, we did a, this little project and stuff. What do you guys want to be when you get older? People are firefighters, everything from little lawyers and stuff. I guess their parents are lawyers, whatever. And I was this astronaut, had the whole thing on my back. I looked like one of the, one of these space guys, had the microphone, just put anything together, make it look good, right? And I've always had that. I don't know what it is. It's just, and then I started looking at these photos and stuff like that. I'm saying, man, this is wild. And like I said, I was watching a friend of mine, Will's over there, What's Up in the Sky 37. And I watched one of his videos one day and I was saying to myself, man, why he skipped something? What is that? So I kept going back, backtracking in his video. And I kept seeing this, what looked like a ghosted frame of something, like an outline of something. And I couldn't figure out what it was. So ever since then, I've always looked at photos, but when I seen that, I said, okay, I got to stop making videos. So I went about doing that and, getting it set up and started making videos because I thought it was a great idea to share with you guys, or the public themselves. Anybody who wants to really know what's going on, right? Was it 18? I watched Apollo 18. What is your take on the supposed lost tapes that or put into the movie. I don't know. Truthfully, I don't know. Um, uh, it's hard to tell because even people today even believe like a lot of the mission videos or photos were faked, right? I believe they're half and half. I believe they were just put there to just like I said, you had the PR part of it where they said, okay, just give the public these photos, and a lot of people say that Stanley Kubrick had done all this and um, made up this movie for. And that's not true. What I do believe is if he had a hand in it at all, was that he might have made some sets, meaning showed the astronauts on these things, but so they feed that to the public, and in the meantime, they're doing the real mission, right? So I believe this because some of them do look kind of fake, but I look at it this way: I see what looks like absolute real, and in the background, you guys, I've said this before, where you look at the what look like these mountains in the background, and they look faked out. Is it that they're fake or they've been drawn over? So that's the thing. So they look fake because they just like artificially like drawn over. So I believe that they are real photos, they're just being a lot of things being hidden in them. And I've shown many structures and stuff like that right there with these guys, with these astronauts, and they're showing it plain as day. That there's things being hidden there. Ray Smith, would you go on the moon? Yeah, absolutely. Um, because as much as it would probably freak you out, like let's say you said, "Hey, guess what, Ray? We're both gonna go up there and we're gonna go check it out." You'd be freaked out because it's kind of like you and I would be like the astronauts when they came back. I mean, I don't know if these guys needed shrinks after the fact. I mean, some of these guys went into hiding. Look what happened to Buzz, right? Um, he basically went into hiding, didn't want nothing to do with it, just kind of dropped out of the picture. Um, so if you went there, you'd probably be like totally speechless, like wouldn't know what to say. Like, what is that? Clearly, we didn't put that there. Nobody on Earth had put this here. So what are we dealing with? So this is what's going through these guys' minds. Like, good Lord, what the hell is this, right? So yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine, what they've seen and they're just their reaction. You know what I mean? I'm sure they were told, whatever you guys see, do not say a thing, because they did have some code words and stuff like that they used and said, oh, yeah, yeah. So I can't even imagine and the awe they were sharing when they seen these things. So it's crazy. Astro Kid. Hey, Chris, nice to see you again, brother. Hey, good evening to the Astro Kid. Good to see you in there. Exactly, Mark. Yeah, it's like believing in UFOs, but seeing one would change you. Absolutely, absolutely. Like a lot of people can say, "Oh, I've seen a UFO," and yeah, because I have when I was younger. Um, but when they go, a lot of people say, "Whatever," I'm skeptical, blah 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 blah. But when they see it for themselves, they're just going, "Oh my god, it's like a life changing thing," right? Uh, Out Dominion Joey, what's the craziest thing you found on a Martian photo? Just about everything. Because it's something you shouldn't be seeing on the planet, right? So, yeah, to me, they're all crazy because everything down from the little objects to what look like structures and some kind of weird vehicles. So just about everything is crazy because you're not, if you go by what NASA tells you, what do they tell you? It's a cold, dead, barren planet. So therefore, nothing existed. Maybe it was like Earth millions of years ago, but that was it. It's any kind of life is completely dead and void. So there's nothing. But if you go into these photos, you'll know better. You'll see differently. Brian Norton, hi Chris, Canton, Ohio. What's going on, Brian? Hope you dodged these storms that just went through. Trippy figure drops the mic. My friend is live streaming. He's in the house. You're awesome. Thank you for your hard work and dedication to the community. Well, I appreciate that, Trippy. Like I said, it's good to actually converse with you guys. I mean, we're not actually literally verbally, but we are going back and forth. Guys, either commenting or asking questions. That's awesome. Michael Wise, gotta love the moon photos and clearly a line margin where the true photos clarity is seen. And that's true. I mean, you've got, crazy things. I mean, not for a million years. I've always thought, man, I was just kind of obsessed with the moon. I know you guys are too, because it's the closest celestial body, right? So you look at the moon, you go, oh wow, that's pretty cool. I like that. And it's just awesome. But then when you start to see these things in these photos, you're just going, what? So where do we stack up on the chain of life? You know what I mean? If it's in the solar system or in the universe, I mean, that's kind of weird. I mean, you think about it, you're like this little speck of dust now compared to what could be out there, and that's what I think is mind-boggling to some people, and it's like a mental block, and sometimes they just forget to, or not forget, but just don't want to believe, right? Philip Wellington. What kind of battery should I get in case my power goes out? Was to go off. To be truthfully, I get these APCs, these battery backups. I probably got about one, two, three, four. I got like 4 or 5 of them in the house, and they just switch on. Like a blink of an eye when the power goes out, it doesn't even phase it. It just blinks and it's on there. And it depends on what you're looking for. Like I've got like 1,000, or actually a 1,500 watt here under the bench, so it'll run the computer for a while. But you really don't want to have it just shut it down, because that's not good for your computer, right? But any APC or anything like that, what was the other one? CyberPower makes them. There's several different companies that make these things, and they're good to have. Even in the house, if you just put a lamp on it, you're not in total darkness if the power goes off, right? Uh, Michael Keefe, remember the large-looking spider or crab on Mars? Yeah, that's the one who was in the crevice of the rocks, I believe. Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. I mean, to me, that was kind of open to interpretation, though. It depends on how you look at it, because I've seen it a little bit differently after I enhanced it. But nonetheless, it's definitely not. No, it's not natural per se, like a rock. You know what I'm saying? It's not a rock or some kind of cropping or anything like that. Whatever it was, it definitely was not natural. Might have been living though. Tideswell 897. Good R6 player. Hello, what's going on, man? These things going by fast. You're welcome there, Philip. Yeah, like I said, that's what I use. It's so much easier. You don't understand what those things are worth until the power goes out. Trust me. I've had it happen. I paid, I think it was like $200 just for the 1,500 water, and I've got some smaller ones that run lights and stuff. But it's good to have. And people go, I don't want to spend that kind of money, but I'll tell you what, they're well worth their money. Their weight in gold when the power goes out. Paul Bywater, hey buddy, hope you're well. I'm doing good here, man. I hope everything's good with you. It was pretty clear to me that it looked alive and it was hanging. Yeah, I mean, I got to admit, I mean that spider-looking thing or whatever it was. Yeah, absolutely, it was just crazy. I didn't know what to make of it. It looked like it was part of something much larger, though. I don't know if you guys looked around the surrounding part of it. So I don't know if it was actually something alive, or if it was something like a central part of something and it was much larger. So you'd have to look at that photo again and then just really scrutinize it. Drippy, you're right. We are not alone, and we never have been. Supreme Wizard, the Black Knight satellite. Is it real or just a myth? I don't know. To be truthfully, I did a video on that, and you can look it up you can just search it on my videos. To me, it is something out there. I mean, I've seen it. Now, like a lot of people want to say it's the thermal blanket from the spacecraft that was out there at the time. And they said it was the thermal blanket. But when you look at the thermal blanket, it was only so big. I mean, you could see an astronaut there, and it was this blanket, the one that was supposedly have drifted off the craft. They do have photos of that, and that's true. That blanket did actually do that. But this object is off in a distance, and it's much larger than that astronaut. The one, again, the thermal blanket that came off the section, you can see it on the craft where they got one side, the right side was there, the left side was gone. And it was about the size of the midsection of the astronaut. And it was wider, but it's just the configuration. But it was about the size of an astronaut. And this thing was off in the distance, and it looked like it was bigger than an astronaut. So, yeah, I believe it's real. And I believe there's things out there that we probably couldn't comprehend. Mark Johnson, the galaxy is full of life and intelligence. I agree with you. I think anybody who believes that we're just simply alone, and like I said it before, I just feel for them because we are part of much things that are much larger than us, and we're just learning that now. It's like just children learning how to. We're crawling, we're just learning how to walk, and now we're starting to look around to our surroundings, going, "Wow, I guess we're not alone here, right?" Uh, Ricardo Torado, why don't why won't somebody land directly on the site where they are, these aliens and our cousins are? It depends. If you're talking about on the moon now, a lot of you guys have seen and asked me about the properly pronounced as a better sheet spacecraft, Israeli spacecraft that was up there, and I think it crashed on the 11th. It was supposed to land down, believe it or not, it was supposed to land down a Sea of Serenity, where the Lunik 21, which is the Soviet, uh, the Soviet Union back in the day, their lander, and of course our Apollo, 17, where they had landed. Funny enough, they want to go there and they want to check out things. In fact, I've got some information here. Like one of the pages here was what was the spacecraft supposed to do on the moon? And get this, its first job was to use its high resolution cameras to take some photos. Okay. We're going to take pictures of rocks and dust, including a selfie, which it did before it crashed, which it did, and it has a photo of that. I was going to measure the magnetic field of the spot it landed in, an area known as Mare Serenitatis, which is basically Sea of Serenity, right? So yeah, I think the spacecrafts have already done this as far as magnetic fields and stuff like that around the moon, and it pretty much mapped everything. But yeah, they want to go check that out. Which incidentally, whatever happened to that spacecraft, was it done deliberately? And I don't mean crashed it deliberately. I mean, first of all, I want to give them props because these guys went out and it was funded. I think it was. It was actually funded, so they put it all together, put the money together, the funds, and sent the spacecraft up. But they did say they had no redundancy in this spacecraft, which means other backup computers and so on and so forth. So therefore, if anything failed, that was it. It's kind of like the Curiosity rover on Mars, right? Where it had another motherboard, a second motherboard. So in a very short time that it was on Mars, it landed, it failed. Well, it switched over to the secondary motherboard. This spacecraft had none. So when its main engine started to act up and went crazy, that was it. They lost it. And that was pretty much it. But it's funny how they just wanted to take photos and study the magnetic field. Well, that's going to be one of my quick videos coming up. Did they see anything in these photos? And it was just a one. Everybody's saying, did you see that one photo? And you can see what looks like structures, but there's some things in that photo that, trust me, they weren't there just to land for that. So I don't think the actual crash was intended. And, I'm sorry it actually happened to them because, they went out there and they did their thing. And so I give them props as far as that goes. But were they actually there to do that? In other words, once the craft did land safely, was that the only mission it was going to do, or was it just going to have its own look around? And there's some couple of small things in that photo that it had taken, and I'm going to show you that in one of these videos coming up. And yes, I had a couple of you guys saying, "What happened to the Mars videos, man? And what happened? What happened?" So I got another cool one coming up. You guys are going to like this one, so stay tuned for that. Let's see. James O'Cash. Hey, what's up? What's happening? Just curious if you ever seen Apollo 6 pick 0839, April 72. I might have. I have a bunch of photos here on my backup drive. I'll have to check it out, see if I have. If you have a link, just drop it down there anyway so other people can check it out, Greg King, great job on uncovering the truth. Appreciate that. Try to do what we can to try to drag this stuff out for you guys. Mark Johnson. Yep. We suffer from denial and societal amnesia. Yep. Is it our fault though? You know what I mean? Because if it happened back in the past, again, if our civilization has done this 3 or 4 times, in other words, almost completely died off and then came back, it may be just some things in the past we just don't remember, man. And it's not our fault. It just happened that way, right? Dave Rogers, Sanibel, Florida, says hi. Sanibel Island, great place there. Great water down there as well, right? Tom Seaton, I'm in rural North Florida and seen things in the night sky I cannot explain. Looks like stars just warping out. Here's the thing: if you're in a dock area with not a whole lot of city lights or street lights or anything like that, just all you gotta do is lay down on the grass, look straight up. You'll see these little things moving around, man. Now, a lot of them will be like satellites. You just see these little bitty dots in the sky, and then some of them, I don't know, man, they're moving pretty darn quick. So yeah. N62 BMW, is the moon less important than Mars? No, I think they're both equally important because one, what I think is more important, what starts it off with is Earth. I mean, I'm sorry, not Earth, but the moon, because it all starts with the missions, first of all, before the Apollo missions, because they mapped the moon first, right? And had orbiters go around, take photos around the whole moon, so on and so forth. But then you've got the Apollo missions come along, and you got to ask yourself, if they're faking the things that they found on the moon, why would they stop at Mars? Think about it. So, okay, so if we got structures here on the moon, we got them on Mars, what's next? Now, there's the other moons, Mercury we've seen things on there. You name it. I mean, there's stuff all over the solar system, I guarantee it. We haven't seen every planet. And I'm sure they have. So you can imagine the stuff they've seen. I mean, we don't even know. This could be like picture like a city block, meaning our solar system, that's been completely abandoned, and people have gone off to other, basically just left the neighborhood and taken off, and all that's left is remnants of these civilizations. How do we know? Pure speculation, of course, but how do we know? Ken, what's your most compelling videos of structures on Mars? Mount Sharp? Yeah, I mean, Mount Sharp is that. I mean, if you look at all of the structures, like you got the Curiosity rover, it was approximately about 1.5 miles from where it landed to the base of Mount Sharp. And when I say the base, there's like the actual base, and there's like there's a valley between there, and then there's another part at the very base of Mount Sharp, and it's supposed to travel along there and then go back up it, right? So it's supposed to be a 10-mile journey total. So, of course, that's what, they have backed out of some places and went, so it'll probably end up being more than 10, a little bit more than 10, because they had to back out, and, they found that they couldn't pass through these areas. So you've got this Curiosity rover that lands, supposed to go straight to the base, follow it along, and then go up the Mount Sharp. And it's loaded with structures all over it. It's absolutely loaded. I've done many videos on Mount Sharp, and I've done, just about all of the photos from the Curiosity along the actual, ridge or the base of Mount Sharp. And just look at some of the things that are there. Let's see. This thing's really flying here. Brian Norton, this is a good one. I personally think first group of people that go to Mars won't make it. What do you think, Chris? I think it will be a suicide trip for them. I don't know. I think it's got to do with longevity, right? Because they're saying they say it's about 9 months to get to Mars. I don't believe that's the case. I think they have different engines now. I don't think it's the same old crap engines that they have, rocket engines. And I think it's less than that now. I think it's even now. It's like between 7 and 8 months, but I think it's much sooner than that, meaning they can get there. And they're going to do everything they can to. This is the reason why they're doing a lot of, test on the ISS. See how long people can be up there for X amount of time before they get. Their muscles start to wither away. They start, this is the reason why you see them exercising up there and everything else. But they're trying to do tests to see how long they can be out in space. Some of these guys, like I forget what his name is, but he was out there for a year. Some people have been over there a little over a year. So, I don't think it'll be a total failure, but it may be some bugs included with it, meaning they may have some serious problems. So it may very well be a failure. It may not. I'm going to say they're going to do everything in their power to make sure it isn't, right? Um, let me see. Have you heard about Nikola Tesla's observation in Colorado? He was entries where he says he received intelligent signals from Mars. Also, have you heard of astral project projection? Yeah, I have astral projection. I have heard about that, and I have also heard about the supposed uh, Nikola Tesla. He had said that he was receiving signals. Now, people's argument is, well, no, he didn't because there was probably something that was a satellite, but it was before satellites. So how can that possibly be? Now, is it possible that they say the Black Knight satellite's been out there for some people say it was like 32,000 years. I don't know where they pull that number from. I'm not sure where they get that from, but is it possible that thing was out there and it received it from there? Or he did actually get it from Mars? Who knows? It'd be real interesting to know, though, for sure. You know what I mean? Uh, don't look behind you is the name. I'm sharing my account with my kid, my Mr. Times here. I think that the moon is a safe place to set up labs to research prehistoric Earth. Do you think it could be possible? Sure. How do we know that we're not like a giant ant farm to these people on the moon? I mean, as crazy as that kind of sounds like all sci-fi on you, but um, how do we know? Because a lot of people say that the moon is actually older than Earth and that it came from somewhere else. Well, how do we know this isn't like an observation kind of like deck kind of thing looking down and they just put us here and, like they said, they mess with our DNA, changes from Neanderthals to what we are today. And they're just watching us like a giant ant farm or like a bunch of children, just making sure we grow up correctly. Who knows? Maybe not at all. But crazy stuff, right? Colin Gibbs, do you think that Stephen Greer is correct and that the governments will never officially announce disclosure because it's safer to allow the unofficial disclosure to gather steam? Well, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like they're using people like him, myself, and anybody else that's doing this kind of stuff as pawns, right? They're just like, well, we can get the word out through these people. Let me just see what just happened here. Don't mind me. Oh, just hit the wrong button here. I just didn't see anything. But so it's like I said, if they use us, it gets all the somewhat information out, right? Desensitizes the public. So when they actually do, something slips up or something comes out, people won't be in total shock, other than saying you guys lied to us. You bunch of jerks. You lied to us and didn't tell us the truth, so on and so forth. But then it'll get over, right? Um, uh, let's see. Michael Hart, what's going on, Chris? What's going on, Michael? Eddie the Eagle has landed. Yes, he is in the house. Michael Hoover, what's up, Chris? What's up? Michael Hoover, he was getting data downloads. Just look at what he brought to the table. Huh. Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of crazy things now. I don't know. Now, again, we'd have to see all the research ourselves, right, in order to confirm it, or at least say, well, yeah, I mean, there it is right there in our face. We're just being basically told this. Now, what would be cool, though, if he had his own paperwork, you could see yourself, because he had many notes, right? So I would love to be able to see that stuff where, where you can see where he actually wrote all this down and did all this. That would be awesome. Deeper look. What do you think about Ganymede? Lots of 90-degree angles and shapes that don't look natural in hexagon shape. Great. Look at my video. Just put in the search bar Ganymede. I've got a crazy one there that once you put the depth back into the photo, yeah, wait till you see that video. That thing went crazy. In fact, I didn't even realize the thing. I look again and had like over 370,000 views. I was like, you got to be kidding. But you can see, when you stop and look at that, the photo, there was no depth in it at all. Once you put the depth back in it, it was just crazy wild, man. You just look at this thing and just like, whoa, definitely doesn't look like natural stuff. I'm not saying there's nothing natural on that moon, but when you do look at it, this looks like there's a civilization been living on that, no doubt. Gary McKinnon, I like that. Your Highness, Gary McKinnon, UFO whistleblower, saint or criminal? I think he's a saint. If he's on the up and up, which he appears to be. In fact, I've talked to him where we had a group hangout with the other UFA group, the other part of the UFA group. We talked to him and stuff like that, and he seems like a right down to earth guy. Now, whether he's seen all that, again, there's no way to vet that. All we can do is go by his word, right? But they wanted him in the worst way, so it tells me he definitely saw something. And when he's talking about these different ranks of these soldiers that were off-world soldiers, and it makes you wonder, right? The city Cairo in Egypt actually means Mars. Yes, it does, Michael. Absolutely. Your Highness, would they lock up a NASA whistleblower if he told everything? I'm almost positive they got a gag order to begin with. They got a sign and stuff like that, and so I don't know how these guys could do it, being that these guys are pilots in the Air Force. They were military men and stuff like that, and then they go into being astronauts and everything else, and then like I said, these guys have been told to, whoops, uh, don't say a word. Once they come back, it's crazy. I think if they did, I think something really bad would happen to them. At the very least, they'd be locked up for life. You know what I mean? Michael Hart looking at getting a 14-inch telescope and good camera. There you go. It'll be a little costly, but yeah, you can do it. What you've done for me, Chris's point out that the solar system is full of them. They are busy everywhere. They can be everywhere. It's feasible for them to be active. Absolutely. Gary is awesome. Yep. Yeah, like I said, I mean, he seems like he's down to earth kind of guy. And these guys are hackers, man. It's like, hey, let me just see if I can't get in there. Next thing you know, they're playing with the keys on the computer, and next thing, oh, damn, I'm in. And he actually said before he had the chance to actually download one or two of the photos, feed was cut. That was into that. So yeah. Uh, Tom Cedar, yeah, to work at NASA, you have to sign confidentiality paperwork, meaning you can't say anything about it. Absolutely. Like I said, I've got a friend of mine. Her son works for a branch that's affiliated with NASA, and for what he tells me, his laptop is face recognition, with retina and fingerprints, and then you got a password to put in. I mean, it's like there's like different layers of security in that thing alone. So yeah, this doesn't. They don't want it to get into the wrong hands. So God only knows what's on these things, right? Noodles. I had 8 sightings. So Gary and Travis are cool. Yeah, I mean, nobody can truly understand until it happens to yourself, right? Or you either, some people, claim they were abducted and stuff like that, and there's a lot of people who have gone and had, you know, uh, the heck, uh, they were put on the machines and said, oh, these lie detectors and stuff like that, and said, yeah, pass with flying colors. So if they're lying, they're good at it. So whether you're just seeing these things abducted and um, a lot of these people they're not lying. Of course, there's a lot of hoaxers out there. Don't get me wrong, but there's people out there that definitely are the real deal. Let's see, Jose Molina. Yeah, do you plan to expand other planets in the search for further out? Yeah, absolutely. Um, the problem is we're like at the mercy of NASA and ESA and all of these space agencies because obviously we get our photos from them, and so whatever they produce, obviously a lot of these guys, including myself, will jump on it as well, just to analyze it, just to see if there's anything worth seeing in the photo. If not, then it gets discarded. But yeah, absolutely. Hi Chris. Do you have an opinion about William Rutledge and his claims of Apollo 20, Del Port crater, the port there rather, crater abandoned UFO? The vehicle is there. Are you talking about the large one? Looks like this big cigar shaped UFO. Is that the one you're talking about? Danielle Lazarus. I think Wilcox is a scammer. I don't know if I'd call them scammers, only because you know some of the stuff that they are actually saying is, I believe, sounds like it's on right on the money, right? I think they've ran with it, to go to these places and tell stories and stuff like that because they're getting funds to do it, right? I don't know if I'd call them, straight up scammers, although they may embellish a little bit, if you know what I mean. Um, so it's kind of hard to say, you know what I mean? Michael Keeve, yeah. If they say if you have seen a UFO and it cannot account for the lost time, then you were probably abducted, which is true. I mean, that's what most of the people say who have been. There's like hours pass by and they're like, I don't even remember what happened. So yeah, Noodles slow mo disclosure is good way to go. Think about a gun cam fighter plane when they had bullets and missiles. Nobody wants to see UFOs get shot down. That's a fact. Tony Leverton, greetings from the UK. What's going on, Tony? NASA makes Mars out to be a lifeless and red planet. But in your videos, we see lakes, trees, blue sky, and past ruins. Are they covering up life on Mars, present and past? Absolutely. Judging by the photos, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, it looks like areas like total catastrophe in some areas, not so much. Like there was like this huge damage done in some areas, kind of like if there's a war torn area here on Earth, you got pristine areas, and then of course you got the battlefield areas, and you understand what those look like after that. Absolutely, I think they are. I think they have been, and I don't know why. Because they're there regardless, right? So even if other countries are like, no, I want to get there before they do it because I want to get all the resources, whatever it is they can gain. But what happens if they said, no, there's a civilization there? Well, everybody's going to go buck wild to try to get up there. And they have. Like I said, Russia just went up there recently. India's been there, Japan, of course, United States. I mean, there's so many countries, and then ones that don't know about it. In other words, they're just doing their part to put these things together, and then they're just shipping them out. These crafts, landers, so on and so forth. So, yeah, I think they're absolutely hiding it. So, and as far as present, I don't know. I believe there probably still is. It's like right here. If Earth had a total catastrophic event, I think some way, somehow, that people underground somewhere, or in the mountains somewhere, like dug in, where they'd survive. Now, how long they would survive, that's a whole different ballgame because, depending on the catastrophe, right? So, yeah, absolutely. Let me see. Yeah, Jose, I believe there may be still life on Mars, as far as maybe humanoid, whatever you may want to call them. So yeah, I strongly believe there could very well be. Um, Doc Chuck, Little Chuck, William Rutledge, Apollo 20, Cigar Craft. Your thoughts? Real or hoax? Well, I don't believe there's an Apollo 20. First of all, so that part is a hoax. And if there was, which in a sense probably wouldn't surprise me, because you can almost bet if they did these Apollo missions that they have, succeeded on, you can almost bet that there's been others. I don't know if I'd call them Apollo after, 17. But it's hard to say. Now, a lot of people say that cigar craft was absolute garbage. At least in a lot of these videos that show them crystal clear. There is something that looks like a cigar UFO type thing, but it doesn't look anything like the one they show that's crystal clear, and they're like literally hovering around it like there was some kind of drone hovering around it. You wouldn't be able to get it that clear. There's no way. That was, from what I understand, was made of clay. So I basically go, it's definitely garbage. Now there was something that was near this crater that looked like some kind of cigar shape. I'll get it out, I promise. Cigar shaped UFO, but it looked like there were structures near it too. In fact, I did a video on that a while back. You can look that up. So as far as the Apollo 20, I think that's crap. You know what I mean? It's possible there could have been other missions, but I don't think they would have kept calling them Apollos. Let me see. Let me see. Man, this thing jumped big time on me here. Chris, what about the mercury pools under these pyramids? Teotihuacan, yeah. Anti-gravity propulsion. That's what they say. Now, I know there was supposed to be a lot of this mercury in there. There's like pools of it. I haven't seen it firsthand, but, from what they're showing, it actually was there. Now, again, I'd love to be able to see this stuff myself, because then you can actually confirm it, right? You can, yeah, 2 thumbs up. It was definitely there, seeing it. So, but without be able to see it, you know what I mean? You can just go by their word. What do you think about the Israel moon landing fail, real or hoax? I think it was real. And like I said, I gave them props earlier for actually accomplishing the mission, although they haven't actually landed. They had a main engine problem just before they landed. And of course, it just crash landed into it, the moon. And they were supposed to be going to the Sea of Serenity. So it crashed somewhere around there with the Apollo 17 and Lunik 2021 from the Soviet Union, or past Soviet Union. So yeah, I mean, it was a real deal. Unfortunately, it did fail. But there is something in that photo, that one photo that I had taken, and I'm going to do a short video on that soon. It's going to be coming up this week, along with some good Mars videos. So you guys will stay tuned for that. Your Highness, the dirt when you Photoshop look like you can grow asparagus in it. Funny enough, though, it's funny you said about the dirt, but back in the day when they had the Viking landings in 75, 76, where they had taken soil samples from Mars, and what they did here later on is what they do is they took the soil and they matched it. Basically, they took some volcanic ash, mixed with some soil, and pretty much made it the same exact chemistry or chemical makeup of the soil, right? And it grows better than anything here on Earth. The actual, yeah. So makes you wonder. You go, okay, so if it's that rich and can grow crazy, awesome stuff in it, why wouldn't there still be life on Mars right now? So yeah, makes you wonder, right? Let me see. Casper James, you do inspiring work. Keep them eyes sharp. I hear that. Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. You know what I mean? But yeah, we do our best. John. Oh, okay, John. Chris, am I wrong in thinking the moon is stationary and does not move to different locations in the sky as it orbits the Earth? I've seen it in all different locations in the sky. It depends. You'll see it move as the seasons go, and of course you'll see it slightly rotate. Even though it's tidal locked, you'll never see it completely turn around, but you will see it kind of shift. Like poles wise, it'll shift here and there. So yeah, I mean, it will change a little bit, and you'll see it in different, positions in the sky, higher or lower, depending on the season, so on and so forth. Noodles is taking off later. Uh, 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 uh. All right. That's not a rock. I found birds on Mars. What do you think? Well, I've seen things too. I mean, I've done videos where it looked like you can see what looks like these little black either insects, depending on the distance, right, of the camera. It's either insects or something much larger in the sky. Now you have to see the difference between a burnt pixel, which they occasionally have, and what that's from is a camera will literally get hot. So the outer air of the camera, meaning it gets hot because it does get hotter on Mars, depending on how people want to like people from NASA want to say, oh, it doesn't even get above 10 degrees, Fahrenheit. Bull. It absolutely does. And if you look at the Curiosity weather station, it's built onto it. It actually gets warmer than that. So when the camera gets hot, it gets hot pixels. So you'll see these like different color little spots, right? And then you've got, but you can see the difference between that and a little black dot. And again, it depends on how far or close it is to the camera. It's either some kind of insect or a bird, and you can see like a blur behind this object. So it shows like a motion blur. So I believe this thing's flying around on that planet. I really do. What they are, couldn't tell you. Doc Chuck, Little Chuck, Elon should go to Phobos first, land a roadster on it, and drive it as fast as possible. Drive right off the moon, right? That would be something to see. He actually did say he's going to try to get a Tesla on Mars, and I don't know if it's going to be like an actual roadster or something like that. It'll probably be something like some kind of rover type thing, where if the people actually, man or woman actually goes there, they'll be in something like that. Michael, you're asking what state am I from? From Rhode Island, born and raised, currently residing in West Virginia. That's what they're saying, Tony Hines. Ion Drive. That's what they're saying. I asked this friend's son. I said, what do you think they're working on? Is it plasma or ion? And he said, just look into ion. And then he just left it at that. So I believe, and again, he's working with a company that's affiliated with NASA. So yeah, I'd tend to go with his word. Now, I'd love to be able to see exactly what it is there. This engine itself, this drive itself, and see what it actually, what it pertains to and everything else. Because these things could be actually a whole lot smaller than an actual rocket engine, right? Depending on how it's built. Chris, you in Florida, I'm in Naples. I've been down to Naples a couple of times with the Carlton Reds, and just having with my buddy Billy Carson, sit down there and talk about the world's problems and stuff like that. We just get together, just chill. Actually going to be down there this summer. Going to be down in Florida to see my daughter and stuff like that, and we usually hang out down there. Jose Molina, Chris, do you think that the first inhabitants of Earth, may have been from Mars? It's, some scientists say yes, because if Mars actually had life on it first, let's just say, and then it made its way over to Earth. That's a possibility. And because they had these, what they speculate is there was a couple of nuclear explosions on Mars. They could have seen this pending doom, and they could have been kind of like us right now. We're doing the same thing. There could be a pending doom. So what we're trying to do is these. I mean, they're actually saying we have to preserve, ourselves, our species, right? So we need to be spacefaring. So we're trying to jump over to Mars. Okay, could that have been done in the ancient past, or is it the other way around? I strongly believe it has been. Gorilla for gorilla, huh? You can't land on Mars, people. It's all fake. Really? Last time I checked, the planet was pretty much real. Let's see. Kicks, I think that's called, or Keeks. Do you answer emails? Yes, I do. Not all of them. I'll be honest with you guys. I mean, I get tons of them, so I try to just get through every one of them I can, um, and then just try to answer them the best I can. Sometimes I'll send you guys emails back. You guys can actually go to my Facebook page if you've got pictures or information you want to share. You can go to my, like I said, my Facebook page. You can check it out there. I converse with a lot of people there. I answer them and stuff like that. Sometimes email not so easy because between this, meaning the YouTube, Facebook, and emails, it's a little harder to do. Great question, Kenny. Thanks for all your work, Chris. Do you intentionally not mention the figures or oddities in your videos due to? Oh, this thing just jumped on me here. Hold on. Due to fear of censorship, and why can't they censor you if the figures are visible by us all? To be truthful with you, Kenny, I don't know. I mean, I see people when you say figures. I imagine you mean like what looks like actual people or like things that are alive there, right? If yes, then yeah. A lot of times you guys will see this stuff, and I don't see it too good. I know a lot of my friends who do these anomaly huntings, and they see these what look like little beings all over the place, and yet I don't see them. It's kind of like when you go to the mall, you see those it looks like just sand on the picture, and you go, "Oh, look, it's a sailboat," and I'm going, "I don't see it." You know what I mean? I don't see the darn thing. Some people can pick these things out a lot better. I don't seem to bring them out or can't see them rather. But this is the reason why sometimes I'll do like as far as the other anomalies, I'll do those, the biggest ones, right? To show you guys. And a lot of you guys will say, well, you totally missed or you didn't want to do the other one. It's like, it's not that I didn't want to. It's, you guys get to see it too. And you guys bring it to light, through your comments, and everybody else gets to check it out too. So it's all like a collaboration, so to speak, right? We all get together and we all share this. So there's times where I go, I'm going to let you guys see it and then point it out because some things I don't see, to be truthful with you. And sometimes, and I've seen many things that you guys pointed out, which is awesome. So yeah. I'm not sure if that's Nick Hudson, I guess it is. Mars had a water in the past that could cover an entire planet with 140. It did had a large body because in fact it was kind of like all the land mass was like one, like Earth was at one time, right? And so it had this like huge ocean, and so whatever it is, it took the water away from it, right? Now you see nothing but a lot of landmass, but there is still bodies of water on Mars. Don't let them kid you. It has a water cycle. In fact, they said it right in Gale Crater itself. There's a water cycle there, and funny enough, that's where they're at. Imagine that. So I believe this thing's growing there. I believe there could be live animals, and I mean like insects. So of course, greenery, little trees, shrubs, whatever. I think there's a whole lot of that there too. They're just not letting anybody know. Michael Keefe, isn't there water droplets floating around on the moon? They say there's like a fog, like a kind of like a mist type thing, and there is actually water on Mars. I mean, I'm sorry, on the moon too. In fact, NASA's just finally coming out with that. They said it a while back, and it kind of just blew over real quick. And now more and more people are seeing it. And then now they're saying, oh yeah, by the way, the moon has water on it. So how much? Well, that's you know how much they're willing to divulge, right? Oh, your last video was amazing. Structures plain as day in those photos. Yeah, I mean, Jackie Chillis, I think it is, 007. Yeah, I mean, these things, they're literally in the photo. If you just stop and study them, because a lot of people just look at the photos, they swipe, 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 and they don't take the time to really look at it because it's the lines usually that tell all. Because, like I said, a lot of these things are blended through putting color, the same color over everything in the photo. But by looking at the lines and then getting rid of the color, sometimes you just have to put it plain black and white, and then all of a sudden these things start to pop. And this next Mars one, you're going to see it's just almost as like plain as day. I mean, everybody's going to look at this thing and go, "Okay, that's not a rock. That's definitely not a rock." And it was actually found by a good friend of mine. And yeah, you'll see that coming up soon. In fact, that may be the first one this week coming up. Uh, let's see. Walter Lee, thank you, sir. I love your channel. My like button has been disabled. You know, it's funny you said that because there's a couple of you guys that said, I don't know what it is. I like the channel, and somehow I go back and the thing's not liked. So I don't know what's going on with that. See, this is what I'm saying. This is you get this censorship kind of thing coming from YouTube, and it's not cool. You think, people legitimately obviously watching your videos, right? Doesn't matter who it is. They're watching it, and yet they can't, they go, okay, thumbs up. They go back to the thing. Let's say they bounce to another video, come back and go, how come it's not liked? It should show liked. So it's almost like it's kicking them off. So they can't get as many likes. Therefore, the channel doesn't grow, which is not a good thing because it hurts people who make videos and stuff like that. It's not good at all. Zan3119. Hey, Chris, how's it going? I'm going, brother. I'm putting up my first video in a few years tomorrow. I hope you check it out. I will check it out. I hope it's a good one there. What I'll do is I'll share the link so people can check it out. Because I think, listen, I give kudos to anybody who is uh, doing research and doing it, from their heart. Like, in other words, they're saying, man, I really genuinely see this. I want to share it with the public. I'm not just out to just throw the crap out there and just see, who bites it. You know what I mean? Who just takes the bait. If they're generally doing it and they're, it's from their heart, they're really trying to show what's really there, then kudos to you guys. I know a lot of people have been jumping on board with that, which is awesome. They're getting Photoshop. They're getting into this. And doing their, in fact, I've seen people say, Chris, it's because of you I started my own channel. So kudos to you guys for doing that. You guys are awesome. MG Toe, thumbs up, everyone. Yeah, thumbs it up, guys. Say, even Steve, like you said, saying the same thing. I've been experiencing problems with the like button as well. See, that's what I'm saying. And it's almost like they're doing this purposely so the channel doesn't grow and more people don't get to see this. Well, isn't that like against the freedom of speech kind of thing? I think so. Ricardo, I noticed that one time on one of your videos where I saw anomalies right beside your comments about the other anomaly. Man, you got something over here and you went over it. Oh yeah, because like I said, sometimes there's something, I'm fixated on that particular thing, right? So I want to bring it out for you guys. And sometimes you just don't see the other things. And people just go, hey, Chris, man, did you see this thing next to it? And I go, no, to be truthful, I didn't, because I was like really trying to bring out that particular anomaly for everyone. And then, totally glanced right over the other object. UFO ghost. We love your accent too. I don't know why I had one. It's just like, I come down here in the South and everybody's like, man, I love your accent. It's like, what? I don't have an accent. You do. Well, now that I'm down here, I got it right. But yeah, it's kind of A little hard to get adjusted to when you're down south, trust me. Not that it's a bad thing, it's just a little tough to get used to. James Cash, I gave you a thumbs up, and now it's 33. Awesome. Everybody hit that thumbs up like button. Did Mars once have a magnetic field? Deeper Look asked. It did, and it still does. This is the reason why they're saying it. It may very well be that the astronauts can actually be okay and not be harmed by the actual radiation coming from the sun, because they say there's parts of the moon that still have a magnetic field. It's covering certain parts of Mars. I don't recall what it is. I may have to do some research on that myself to be truthful with you and find out, because I wonder if it's in the same area that these rovers are at and where they plan to land people. Think about that. Let's see. I thought you were from Boston accent. That's close. Next door. I love it. I'm getting these butthurt jerks on this thing. Come out with these little comments. I love it. It's just hilarious. They don't realize it, but they're being screened, so their comments are not even coming out. It just goes to show you. It's pretty sad how you still get these people that just like they'll laugh at this kind of research, even though it's not, obviously it's not like scientific, but it's there for all to see. And yet you get these people, you just get these trolls that come out of the woodwork. It's to be expected. You get that. No, Mike, I'm actually between Charleston and Huntington. I'm actually between them. Fairmont's way out. That's way up northeast from me. What are your thoughts on life on Mars? I believe there's at least organic, and I also believe there's flying things. We've seen that in a couple of these photos, and it would not surprise me if there's actually animals, right? Like mammals walking around. It would not surprise me. I'm not saying I can say that for real, because I don't know. So yeah, I believe there still is life in one form or another. Miami Storm. I'm from Adamsville, Rhode Island. Um, Adamsville, where is that? Is that near the coast? I'm trying to think now. Kind of sounds familiar, but I'm not sure. Supreme Wizard, ancient Egyptians text show flying machines, etc. Yeah, they do. If you look at the hieroglyphs and stuff like that in these temples, yeah, absolutely. At least that's what they look like. It's something that looks like something we'd see today, which looked like, I think it was like some weird looking helicopter type thing. What looked like some weird submarine. I'm not saying that's what they are, but the first thing you think of when you see these things is pretty much that, right? What do you think about John Leah's theory about atmosphere on the moon? There is more gravity than they say there is, first of all. And there is an atmosphere, a slight atmosphere on the moon. At least that's what I researched, and I found that out. Now, again, a lot of times there's no way to vet this other than saying, oh, this is what I read, so therefore, it. You can't say that it is absolutely true, but you can say, okay, well, through the research, that's what I found. So it's a fact they're blocking a lot of these images out. Why would they do that? What is the real reasoning for it? Well, again, if you look at the Brookings report, which NASA made back in 59, 60, somewhere in there, it was right in that window, give or take a couple of years. And they were basically saying, how would the people react if they found that there was a civilization other than ours? And would it be total social breakdown? Would religions break down? So on and so forth. They think it'd be total pandemonium. And this day and age, I don't believe that'd be the case. And I know you guys are on board with that. You guys just said, there's no way. I'd be like, oh, cool. You know what I mean? If they told me right today, oh, by the way, we did find an ancient civilization or civilization it's in ruins now. It was on Mars. I'd be like, oh, man, that's awesome. Even if I never did any of this work, I wouldn't care. I'd be like, oh, that's awesome. We got neighbors, or we had neighbors. That's awesome. What happened to them? Ask a bunch of questions. I'd be like, all for it. Uh, Kevin Snyder, P.S. Hey, Chris, I've arrived late, but wondered if you would ever make a top 5 list of the anomalies you've discovered or others that sent in, and make a video on it. Yeah, I may even do that. That's going to be a tough one, though, because if you're talking about the moon as well as Mars, yeah, some crazy things. In fact, I did, it was like this first um, kind of slideshow I did. In fact, it's on my regular page. When you go to my Mars Anomalies and Beyond page, you'll see it. There's like a video on there that I do. Like it's got the moon as well as Mars, different things I found. I did like a little slideshow on that. Uh, Lucky Mo, what is the true atmosphere pressure on Mars? Uh, what I last time I checked was like I think it was 800 millibars. It varies, of course, but I think it's somewhere around there. It has to be greater than 1% of Earth's in order for the drone to fly in at 2020, right? Yeah, the way they're designing it, they had a test cell. I don't. You've probably seen this. They had a test cell, a small test cell, where they actually kind of made it the same atmospheric pressure as. So they try to simulate that in this little container, and then of course they had this drone flying, and it definitely can fly. It's got dual propellers and everything else. Um, so yeah, absolutely. I think it can. And they showed it in this little test cell where it has this clear glass, and it did fly. So I believe they won't have any problem doing it. And it has to be, I forget what it is, how many RPMs a propeller's got to turn in order to do that. But if you heard the video or seen it, it's like it sounds like a giant, angry wasp. Numberjack Flutro. Do you think there could be whole networks of bunkers on lunar, Mars, etc.? I believe that there's underground. Yeah. Bunkers as far as like you mean like here, like we have like these safety bunkers and stuff like that, or do you mean actual underground building structures, so on and so forth? But um, yeah, I think the moon is actually inhabited, and I think they're underground. I think they're like they say that the moon is actually hollow or parts of it, and God only knows if these things are coming. If these UFOs are coming straight out of these craters, where are they coming from? And how big does it have to be? If something, let's say something is actually coming out of you actually see it come out of the crater. Okay, first of all, how big is that object? And it has to fly into whatever it is. So it's got to be a huge cavern or something inside this moon for all the. It's not just going to be this little narrow area and that's it. Like a bee's nest. It has to be something huge in order for this thing to fly into it and come back out and so on and so forth. Because it's not just one. There's people that see many. So yeah. Ricardo Torado, Beyond Mars, is there more cities and structures? There's been some seen in like Mercury, what look like structures or crafts. Other people have seen them. It's pretty crazy. I mean, it's not, you don't see an abundance of it like you see here on the moon itself and on Mars. Why? It's not as many photos being shared. So therefore it's limited, right? Absolutely right. James Gruenfelder. Yeah. Well, it's not unreasonable for the moon and Mars or any other planet, moon, etc., just like Earth, to have vast caverns. Absolutely. Oh, Mike, don't worry about it. I definitely check his stuff out. He's a good man. He's doing some good work there. Bruce is definitely doing some good work. Yeah, Zan 3119 Chris. I'm sorry to freak out here, but that video, this thing's jumping up on me, so forgive me. It's not like I'm just trying to read it before this thing actually jumps up. Um, but that in the freaking video that you put up where it showed the metallic layers of the moon was insane. It looked like there were levels upon levels going down. Absolutely. I mean, you can just look at some of these things, man, and just see um, like different levels of, construction, like the construct itself of the moon or whatever it may be. You can see these crazy looking levels, different planets, even different moons, like Pluto, stuff like that. They have different levels of it. The stuff's everywhere. I mean, you just got to look for it. That's why I don't think it's just one planet or just our moon. There's a lot more to it. Let's see. Susan Ann, hi from Australia. Hello, Susan. Good to see you in here. Mike Hoover, for sure. Platforms on top of platforms. Serious camo, intelligent camo. Yes. Um, and when you look at a lot of these lunar, especially the lunar surface itself, you can see some of the photos. It looks like there's structures, and there's like, again, I said this in one of my videos. It almost looks like if you could look down at your own house, right, and just take a large patch of grass that covers your house, just plop it on top. Now, if you were to come down, you would see that. In other words, you'd see this piece of turf or ground on top of your house. But from above, what would it look like? Camouflage. It would literally look like the ground itself, only raised, but you wouldn't see any structure. But when you look at these things, when you come down and you look at it sideways, you can see a lot of times, a lot of these people, these amateur astronomers are doing, you can actually, it looks like structures underneath what looks like parts of the moon. Does that make sense? Maybe at one time they had to do that. They had to hide from anything that could fly by them and see them. So maybe that's what they did. Maybe that's their way of camo, their particular structures and stuff, right? JRSRS. Hi, Chris. I remember your video related to Ganymede. Yep, it was shocking. Do you really believe there was life there? There's a book. I visited Ganymede from 1996. Have you ever read it? No, I sure haven't. I'd like to, but I haven't. Um, I believe there was life. There could very well still be. Like I said, and if there isn't, because people have asked me questions, Chris, why is it like on? Here's a good example: Mars. If there's life on Mars, why would they allow the rover to be running around on it? Well, here's the thing. What kind of life are we talking about? Is it just simple creatures? Which they'd probably be scared of the thing, even though it doesn't move very fast. It's like a 1 to 2 mile an hour crawl, although it can go much faster. It basically crawls over rocks. But the noise is just insane. If you've ever seen the test area they have in California, they got this whole area testing grounds where they test the other. What's the word I want to use? Like they've got. It's like basically just a bare essential kind of rover. It's not complete. And instead of it driving on its own, it has a wire harness going to it. So, but it's funny when you hear it going over these rocks, it's like taking a 55-gallon drum and rolling it over rocks. Now, picture 6 of them doing that. So, this thing is immensely loud crawling over the ground. So, I don't think anything alive, especially if there's little creatures or whatever else, is going to go anywhere near that thing. At least if they don't want to be like, especially if they're slow moving themselves and be run over. But yeah, you know, it's crazy. All life could also be very small, small beings, but yet there are some monster constructs. That's right, Mike. I mean, it's kind of like here. I mean, there is no set in stone kind of thing like certain size structures. Like you can go to, back in the day when go to where you can go to Egypt and see the size of these things. They're incredibly large. These pyramids, these temples, and so on and so forth, and a lot of these ancient civilizations. And yet, you look at our structure today; they get dwarfed by some of these things, and of course, we get much larger ones. And you go to these some of these islands that are not even heard of, and you get these indigenous people that just live in huts. So there's all various sizes, and of course we have various sized beings too, right? So yeah. Jeffrey 050711. Would you just go? Do you have an explanation for the cleaning of the Mars rover in which the solar panels that were caked with dust were seemingly polished clean? Well, there's two things. One, and I'm sure you heard this, that NASA said that the windstorms have cleaned it off. Okay, but they also have what they call a what do they call it? They can literally send an electronic charge over the skin of the rover, so it'll literally just like repel the dust. If you look up that, it's actually real. It's on the solar panels and as well as the body of the rover. Now, is it a combination of things? Meaning, because there is supposedly these windstorms, so if it can blow the dust on, why can't it blow the dust off? But I guess at some point it gets too built up, and that's the end of them, right? Um, that's the end of it. It just quits working. Without the sun, it's just not going to work. This is the reason why I guess they decided to go with the um, nuclear powered Curiosity, right? Ain't gonna have no dust stopping that thing. Although the wheels may fall off at first. Uh, Jerry MC wasn't a Mars rover only supposed to run for 9 months. Both of them were. It was the Spirit as well as Opportunity. Spirit became stuck, became a dead stick, I call it, and the Opportunity just kept going. It worked longer than they even thought possible. They're like, "How has this even happened?" Right? Um, so, yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. The But I think even well, Oppie's actually dead now, so that one became stuck and done, or had that huge dust storm, so therefore it's basically stuck. It can't move. I don't know how much dust has been put on that thing. Maybe another storm will come by and it'll blow it all off, and it'll start to work again. Who knows, right? Jose Molina, would you go to Mars knowing it's a 1 day trip, Chris? I don't know if you mean one way or 1 day. Yeah, I'd go. Um, Again, judging by the photos, I would go because you have to be like at awe. Because let's suppose for a moment you can envision like ruins everywhere, but the ruins that are there are not completely ruined. Meaning, in other words, there's still structure standing. What was the technology like? How did they build? you know, if their life was like left behind, like if you see like civilizations have left, their buildings and structures, what did they leave behind? What was it, like stuff like that. I mean, I would be curious to see that. You know what I mean? I don't know about you guys, but I would definitely check that out. Now, if you were gonna die there, well, that could be might be worth it though, right? Scotty B, I never see much evidence of strong wind in rover pics. No, I mean there are a couple that show like these little. I think they were sister twisters they had, almost like Twisted Sister, only sister twisters, where they had them both kind of spinning together. You don't see a whole lot of that. Now they did have like it was a gift that actually showed that, and these things were like in the background, way in the background, you can see it. I think it was I think it was the Oppie photo, the Opportunity rover. So it's pretty cool. So you know, because we're not there, we don't see that. We don't see the actual storms and stuff like that. I don't think it's as many as they claim there are. I believe they get them because there is this huge temperature swing, right? We get Like I said, they've said in the past where there was 104 degrees Fahrenheit registered from the Curiosity rover, and then of course it gets swings way down below zero at night. So there has to be some storms going on. It's kind of like here. If you're like today was 84 degrees, it's down to like 63 now. Had some strong storms come through, and it's supposed to be down in the 40s tonight. So I mean, you got this, but the cost now. Picture that in a whole lot huger scale, a lot larger scale, where you got pretty hot during the day and extremely cold at night. You're bound to have conflicting air, you know, air currents and stuff like that. It has to be. Good one, Mike. Chris, you would tell on their asses. You're not going. Yeah, because I'd be like, oh, I'm telling you guys, I'm going to tell them what I've seen. And they'll be like, try to do that. You're on Mars. You're stuck. Mars form bonds. Yeah, I think they moved underground. Yeah, I mean, we would probably do the same. Think about that a minute. If we had a pending doom, most people have. You see these underground bunkers being built, so on and so forth. And if it's not totally catastrophic, which means it's not going to totally wreck the planet and blow it to pieces, you can literally live underground for X amount of time, and then come out when the doom is over, or pending doom, or whatever it may be, or the catastrophe is blown over, so to speak. So yeah, I mean, who knows? Or it wouldn't be that bad at all, and you can actually get away with it. Yeah, Zan 3119. Yeah, those wheels need a better design. Yeah, why don't they design them just like the opportunity was? Look at their wheels right from the time it died from the time it landed to the time it rolled around. It was still fine. Why did they change the design of them wheels? I think it's because it was lighter. And keep in mind, they're a lot bigger, so therefore they needed to make them thinner. Um, but yeah, let me see what was in here. Colin Gibbs, I think some of the stuff on the moon is man, not just alien. Your views? Yeah, I think it might be both. Um, I think once we went to the moon, they did a test. This might be part of the test too. They went to the moon. I was like, okay, we can make it. Okay, so they were able to build. Like I said, I mean, they could build bigger crafts. Like I said, and just fly there. I mean, you can make like here's a good example, like the shuttles. Who's to say you can't just fly that thing to the moon? It can go up there. It can go out to space. They constructed the space station, and then back down to Earth they came. Okay, why can't they fly to the moon? There's no reason why it couldn't. They could retrofit it with larger fuel cells, and they don't need to just use fuel until they get to the moon in order to land on it. But all they need to do is break away, and it always got a piggyback from what was it, the 747, I think it was, and they piggyback them, fly them up as high as they can get them. The shuttle would take off, and they can literally go right to the moon, land there, take off from there, and come back. Who's to say they couldn't? That's a good possibility, right? Uh, what the F is that? Black triangles, Chris? Your thoughts. Which ones are you talking about? Are you talking about the ones that have been seen on the moon, or are you talking about here on Earth, or both? Oh, let's see. Man, this thing's jumping around here on me. Trying to go down systematically so we can see these things. Okay, you're saying both. There's some of them, like I said, it could very well be like the TR 3B, like Mike just said. Um, that would be some like technology we have. You know what I mean? Um, there's a lot of stuff that we have that a lot of people are not aware of. And God only knows what we got now, the technology we've got. And like I said, we could have easily, back in the day, with the Apollo missions, flown there, built stuff. I mean, again, with these, if we could build the ISS out in space, why can't we use the same cargo holds to bring stuff to construct it on the moon? Why can't we? Just constantly bring this stuff there. Maybe there's a way they can make oxygen up there because if there is a little bit of water on the moon, they can construct their own power source, live up there. Who knows? I mean, again, it's all speculation because I haven't seen that, but that doesn't mean it's not there. You know, absolutely. Daniel Lazarus. So, yeah, why? Oh, this thing just jumped on me again. Why not live feed from Mars? Just one. Just one. But that's what I'm saying. It's like the cameras are capable of HD video as well as photos. Where are they at? Have you guys seen one video from the Curiosity, the Opportunity, any of these? Have you seen any of them? No. They're not going to show us. That's just for them to see. Because that would be wild, wouldn't it? If they just stopped the rover and just did a video, just point the camera and video. All of a sudden, you see something go flying by. Right there, they're just dead. They know they're screwed. They just be like, oh, that wasn't meant to be seen. Mike Hoover, I've seen two here in Florida. They're getting ballsy. I'm telling you, a lot of people say, well, this has been going on for quite a few years, right? It's only now because people got cameras and their phones and all this other stuff that we're seeing a lot more of these sightings of UFOs and so on and so forth, right? And I believe that's partly true. A lot of people have taken with Polaroids back in the day, regular cameras and stuff like that. So, there's just an abundance more, and that's why we're seeing a lot more of it. But I believe they've been here since the dawn of time. I really do. Jerry MC, Don Pettit said we destroyed the technology to get to the moon. I say BS. I definitely, I agree with you, Jerry. I think it's crap. It's almost like they're trying to reset the public's thinking, right? Yeah, just tell me we lost the technology. Therefore, they'll say, oh, they never went to the moon. Say like they see how they're trying to reinforce the idea that, oh, we never went to the moon. So, well, then you just shot yourself in the foot because what about all these Apollo missions? Yeah. They would just cut the feed like how they cut the ISS feed whenever a UFO appears. Yeah, pretty much, Jackie. What is it? Jackie Chillis, 007. Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't know how many times you can see videos, people going, oh, yeah, look, we're just watching this feed. All of a sudden, boom. Oh, we're switching to another camera. Why not just keep it on the same camera? What's the big deal? Because there's something in that part of that video or that live feed they don't want you to see. Marco, what kind of subject you get? Well, I like to get the BMT. It's pretty good stuff. Jose Molina. And then I'm going to go, guys. It's already 9:30. So we got to definitely jet. We got to get out of here. Got to do some work tomorrow. Chris, I'd like to hear your theory on how the moon was formed or built. Well, they say it's manufactured. It's a construct. So is it really? We don't know. When you get this thing ringing like a bell for X amount of hours, and they've done it several times, so it's done it more than once, right? So they confirmed that it's hollow, and then they're seeing these steel on the moon, which is titanium, things like that, which is very strong. And and of course, people say that it's been brought here. Even the ancients say there was a time without the moon, when there was no moon at all in the sky. Again, whether that's true or not, I don't know. Wasn't here, right? No way to vet it. We can only go by the ancient writings, which most of them seem to be spot on. And our science community is just catching up. I don't know if you guys have seen that recently where they're saying NASA thinks they have found planet 9 or another planet. That's like, well, didn't we have Pluto? Oh, wait a minute. We dropped Pluto. So there's another planet, which is supposed to be, I think, 2 to 3 times the size bigger than Earth. So that's crazy. But they say that the moon is older than Earth. So it's been moved here. Whether that's true, not sure. Um, but if they get UFOs flying in and out of this thing, it's actually hollow in some spots. It may not be totally hollow, but I think it is. I almost think there's parts of it constructed. Again, it's almost like it has this super solid skin to a certain degree. Because when you look at the craters, I don't care how wide they are; they don't seem like they're very deep. They all seem like they're almost the same depth. Would you guys agree on that? It's just crazy. I mean, there's like mile wide craters, and yet they're no deeper than the smallest ones. I mean, how does that work? You would think whatever hit that thing, at that size, even if it's half the size of that crater, whatever it hit it, it would put a hole in the moon. My God, it would be deeper than deep. So I don't know. Crazy. Um, how the hell do you make something that big? Brian Norton asked. If you're talking about the moon, and I assume you are, Um, keep in mind, I mean, if again, I'm gonna get all sci-fi on you, but if it is actually aliens that built this thing, not so sure that's the case, but let's just say it is, for argument's sake, then who knows what these guys are capable of doing, man? I mean, how do we know? It's the biggest moon per size of its orbiting planet or its planet it orbits. It's the largest one in the solar system. So it's kind of like, okay, and that doesn't mean it's not natural, but when you look at this thing, you just go, okay, that's just weird how again the craters are the size as far as the depth wise, and then you see these structures all over it, and then you see these things come flying out of the craters like there's stuff underground. So what the hell? Do we have these structures on top of the lunar surface as well as things coming out from the below the surface? I don't know. I mean, it's your guess is as good as mine, right? Ways easy sub. Good work, sir. Thank you. Appreciate that. My cool Chris brother. People have been seeing a second moon, two moons, even Bruce. There is two moons anyway. We have one that's way out, has it circles way out of this. It's like an elliptical, I believe. It's a lot. I think it's a lot smaller moon, and it's they've known this for years. It's definitely out there. Earth is tiny. Yeah, you're right. In some aspects, compared to compared to some of these other planets, absolutely. All right, guys, I'm going to jump on out of here, man. I really appreciate you guys jumping in. Always appreciate it, man. You guys know that. That's just great. I'm glad you guys jump in there. We're going to, again, we'll be doing this. If you guys think we could do this earlier, let me know. If it's easy for some of you guys, I know you guys here in the United States probably don't care. Anybody else you think is a little too late, you want it a little bit earlier, maybe we can compromise on the time, maybe make it a hair bit earlier. Let me know. What do you guys think? Or you just want to leave it where it's at? So, anyway, guys, thanks for jumping in and joining us. And everybody saying hi to each other. It's awesome. I got a great community here. You guys are awesome. And just keep being there and giving your points as well. Because I love to hear your comments, especially in the videos. Because again, it's like we're all on a learning curve here, right? So anyway, guys, thanks for joining me and joining everyone else. I appreciate it. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Should be up around Monday, maybe Tuesday. So I'll see you guys then. Peace.